welcome back to Muse TV. I am Lydia, here today with Nick Bilton, the director of Big Famous, now streaming on HBO Max, and Dominique Druckman, who you guys may have noticed as one of the influencers who has been all over social media lately. So how are you guys?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Good, good.
Doing well.
Dominique, has your social media been crazy since the film came out? I'm assuming you have a lot of people now looking you up, wanting to see like what you're really like.
It's kind of just the weirdest thing because now I have real engagement and all of these real people have real opinions that they want to be spewing at me all the time. It's so hard not to engage, but I also have to like not read the comments because they do get to me. But most of all, a lot of really nice, kind things. People like the documentary and my journey, and it's just very weird having like real people.
Nick, has anything changed for you now that the film came out?
The film's out. That's it. I've been a journalist for a long time and have picked a lot of fights with a lot of people. So my comments have always been full of, angry, upset people, and so it doesn't bother me. It's been funny to see the response. I've actually been really surprised that a lot of influencers have been sharing on social media, telling people to watch it. That's actually been really surprising to me. There are people, of course, in the film that aren't very excited about being in there, but it's been the response has been amazing. People are loving it. They're tweeting about it, talking about it on Instagram, Facebook, everything. It's getting a ton of attention, and I think people are finding, everyone knew a little bit about the bots, but now they're really learning to the degree to which these things are just everywhere.
Yeah, I think for me, that's one of the things that made watching this so engaging and enjoyable, because it really is, I think, an incredible social experiment, because you guys not only confirmed some of the things that we all suspected was going on in this influencer world, but you pretty much also shed new light on it and use those same tricks to make Dominique kind of like the ultimate insider, because all of these tricks and tools that they use, it's like, oh, let's use it on her to sort of show them off as like, well, we can easily make someone, if not more popular than you, just as much. And I like that you kind of use quote unquote influencers, because one of the things that we were talking after the film came out was, is there a difference between someone being an influencer and someone who is just popular on the platform? Because the definition of influencer is to sort of incite change in either character or behavior. But a lot of these people that call themselves influencers are just very much known. They show like constant dance videos, or they show just pictures. So is there a distinction, or is it just a word that's constantly used?
I think that there is a distinction, and the distinction has been blurred. There are people who are creators, quote unquote, and that was the initial term given to people online who made videos and got attention for them and built a following. And then I think there were these people that came along that didn't create things, but had a huge following, whether it was real or fake. And they couldn't really call themselves creators, because what are they creating? And so they became what we know as influencers. And I think now it's all kind of blurred together. And I think that I have a tremendous amount of respect for creators that are making things that are creative, that are using a platform to share their ability, their talent, to entertain, whatever it is. The problem I have is with the influencers that do nothing, and that just their entire goal is to make you feel bad about yourself, and I think that we wanted to show that there is a very clear distinction here, and that a lot of these influencers, the millions and millions of them that consider themselves influencers, that not only are they not, is their following not real, but they even for those that do have a real following, it's not giving back to society in any way.
And I think you touched on two major things like right there that really kind of had me really kind of debating or back and forth in terms of who I choose to follow as well. Because one of the things you mentioned is content, and you obviously come from the news world where you have to decide what's newsworthy, what isn't. Dominique, you're an actress, and so you read scripts and you yourself decide this is a good script, this isn't a good script. So in the terms of this world where people are content creators or just influencers, does content really matter when they put so much emphasis on, I have so many followers, I have so many likes on a daily basis?
I mean, I'll answer this real quick and then I'll let Dom take it. But would we be on your show if we hadn't have created some sort of content? No. If I called you up and said, hey, I have 170,000 followers on Instagram and 250,000 on Twitter, and Dom has 350,000 on Instagram, would you have us on just for that? No. I think the reason we're on here is because we've created something, and I think television and journalism and magazines, they are platforms that for the most part reward creativity or creation, and I think social media platforms are just numbers, and the numbers mean nothing most of the time. Dom,
Good point.
you have a
No, pretty much what I was going to say. I was just hoping that more influencers would want to create more content, maybe even moving forward, make that part of their platform. But I agree with Nick.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like, I mean, in some sense, there's content creation, but a lot of times I think, what is it that's being created? What is it that makes someone, in my experience, will be like an influencer? But another one of the things is, at the beginning of this film, Nick, you had said that you don't know where it's going to go, how it's going to end. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about Dominique and watching your journey is that you always kept true to yourself. Like, there were times when even when you're on the bus, you would just kind of be like, this is crazy. Like, what is this? And at the end, when quarantine was going on and everything, you sort of had this realization of just how fake some of these posts were and how kind of tone deaf they were being given the current state that everybody was in. So my question to you, Dominique, is moving forward, especially now that we're leaving sort of lockdown, is this going to change how you engage in social media? And you, Nick, seeing Dominique have this realization, is that something you had hoped for in the back of your mind, or was it sort of a happy surprise?
Dom, I'll let you go first on that one.
Thanks. I think throughout this whole process, I treated it as an acting role and was committing to the role of being an influencer that I kept up with for my social media and kept up with just so that before the film coming out, it wouldn't draw too many eyes as to why I just stopped all of a sudden. Moving forward, if like the right brand or partnership wants to pay me and it's something I actually believe in / use, I'd be interested in looking at it, but it's not something I'm going to be seeking out. I don't want to be talking about something I got for free just because I got it for free if I don't use it or like it or believe in the company's values. And I would like to make my Instagram slightly more normal and not as much of a walking advertisement anymore because, my mom was in sales and I don't really want to be in sales. I'm an actress and that's what I want to do. Yeah,
I mean, I think for me, when we started this, I genuinely had no idea how it was going to work out. We were originally planning on picking 2 people. We ended up with 3. It was like, we didn't know. We told HBO, we said, hey, there's a world where this is 5 minutes of the film and there's the world where it's the whole film. It ended up being most of the whole film. And we just didn't know what was going to happen. And I think we were really lucky that we had 3 different outcomes. Without giving it away, Dominique's, of course, went far and beyond how I imagined in like a dream case scenario what would happen. So it was pretty eye-opening to me to see how it all unfolded. But it was not a scripted film. This was a true unscripted documentary where we were like little leaves on a river just going wherever it took us. And we were lucky that it took us in the right place.
Dominique, did any of your friends notice that there was something going on with your Instagram? Because I'm assuming you couldn't tell them, like, hey, I'm involved in this experiment. So did they ever wonder, like, where'd you get all these followers? What's with all the comments? Did they have any questions?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was supposed to be a big secret, and it was. I felt like Hannah Montana the whole time, just like keeping this wig on of an influencer, and I finally took it off last week. But yeah, people were asking nonstop and asking my friends, and they were accusing me of buying followers the way that they were accusing Wylie in the film. And it got hard at times, but at the end of the day, I just kept coming back to like, this is a project. This is something that I signed up for, and I'm just gonna see it through. But yeah, it was annoying.
Would you guys
Wait,
consider this? Oh, sorry,
hold on,
go
let me
ahead.
just ask Dom, I haven't asked you this. What did your friends say when they saw, or people you worked with, when they saw that it was all part of this film?
Well, it was just like really getting to me. But I think 2 weeks ago, I had a few of my coworkers asking, and I was always telling you, Nick, throughout the process, people asking me like, hey, like, do you have any tips on growing your following? I see that you're so good at social media. And I was just like, can you just ask me in 2 weeks? And like, I don't know. But yeah, everybody was mostly asking for advice and then accusing me of buying followers. It was annoying.
So
We made
then
up so
would
many
you
lies
guys,
throughout the whole time of like, oh, my friend who was on a show posted me and I got a lot of her followers, or like, just, you know, work with a bunch of different photographers. And then when they post you, or I don't, no one believed me. I don't think.
so then would you guys consider this experiment kind of like a success, almost like you could probably pull it off again, following the same kind of patterns you guys did?
I without a doubt consider it a success, and I think doing it now, we did it with 3 different people and it worked out in different ways, or didn't work out, or however you want to look at it. I believe that I could do it again over and over and over and get better each time. And someone asked me how much money it costs to get Dominique to 350,000 followers. And it's hard to answer that question because we were experimenting with different services, but I think you could probably pull it off for around $2,000. And I think that you could do it. I truly do believe that you could do it with anyone. I think you could take someone who is a 5-year-old with an Instagram account, or someone who's a 95-year-old, and you could make them appear to be fake famous.
So like if someone came to you and said, hey, I don't have an Instagram, because there are people who don't really like social media, but if they said, I would be interested in becoming famous overnight, I have 0 followers, not one photo posted, how different would that be? Or would you be able to still do it the exact same way?
I mean, it wouldn't be any different. Dom had 1,000 followers, and so did Chris. Wylie had a little bit more. We went through and essentially archived most of their photos from before and took completely new photos. So yeah, I mean, it's funny. My Instagram, people have been coming on there and DMing me, like thousands of people who've watched the film, asking me to tell, like, where do I buy bots? And I'm like, that's not the point of the movie. But I think, yeah, it's incredibly easy to fake it. I think it's just it's a lot of work to do it, which is what Dom discovered along the way too.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that, especially when you were saying like I'm sending them all these bots, and then you guys, like Dom, you were wondering like, oh, I haven't gotten enough likes, and I just posted a picture, because it's like you guys mentioned, it does have to seem like these are real people. It's not just like, oh, let's post a picture and then 5 minutes later 1,000 just swarm in at the same time. So it's really kind of meticulous effort in making it sure that something fake looks so perfect. And I think that's what many people were kind of shocked about this. Like, we suspected it, we suspected there was bot spying, but to this extent, like, just the amount of effort that people put in was really eye-opening, and something that made me kind of want to constantly just like keep watching and be like, I want to see how this ends. I want to see if somebody calls like Dominique out because they're jealous that she got something they didn't. But it was really interesting. And Dominique, you're an actress, and something that I think you touched on, that a lot of people have touched on recently, is that when it comes to actors auditioning lately, it's been a lot more about the social media versus the craft. And I know last year when a certain TikToker got the lead role in a studio film, a lot of people were kind of
I was
bringing that topic
available.
up. I think you would have been amazing for it. I mean, you can like do
Thank you.
accents, and I was just like, you've been incredible. But they touched on a lot of the things that you brought up, on the sense of like, yeah, you used to believe it was like your craft that would get you in the door. That's what mattered. Now it's like the branding, the package, the followers, the likes. I'm curious, now that you've had the social media influencer treatment, has your position on that changed in terms of, actors and influencers now going for entertainment roles?
I mean, I think a lot of creators and influencers and TikTokers end up taking that route because it's more accessible to them at that time. And then trying to pivot into acting, which I think is hard to do, which is what I've been hesitant with, like of the fully committing to the influencer side, aside from just my values. But I do think that it still affects like getting into the doors, getting into your auditions, because people look at it as like that's a built-in market, that's a built-in audience that they're relying on when they cast you for something, and that many more eyes on their project. So it's hard to say if two people who had all the exact same credentials and same talent, same look, one had more followers than the other, who would book the role. I can tell you I auditioned for a music video like before all of this started, when I had just my measly 1,100 followers. And the girl that got it over me after like few rounds of callbacks had more followers. So it just makes you think of what do people really value anymore, if it's your talent or what you can bring to the viewership.
But I think, you know, just to jump off that, I think that it's a misnomer to by these producers and these production companies and the filmmakers to pick people for that reason, because it's this. I think even if it is real, and there's a lot of times it is not authentic and real. I mean, the ratio of interactions, even by like Kim Kardashian, it's like 0.0000001% of their followers actually interact with their content. So they're not driving massive numbers of people to things. There are exceptions, but for the most part, that is the rule. And I think that even if you do have that following, you know, if you're known as a quote unquote influencer for you know, for glassware, and you go and get an acting role, you know, on Spider-Man, it doesn't translate. It doesn't mean anything. And I think that, you know, people I've spoken to have reached out from production companies have actually said to me, you know, we tried doing this and it didn't work. Like the follows didn't come. And my hope is that as more people see the film and they realize just how made up so much of this is, that they look more at the talent in the room and less at the number on their phone.
Well, I mean, I can tell you personally from myself and everyone else who watched it, that film did have that effect, because I, like Dominique, always thought, you know, the traditional route, if someone to become famous, is talent or skill, not something that's just, oh, you know, I'm making it up like in this corner that I'm in the beach and then 5 minutes later I'm somewhere else. So I think your film definitely will have that effect on a lot of people. But one thing I was curious, because I know, Nick, you probably interacted with a lot of people when you were doing the auditions, and Dominique, you as an Instagrammer and influencer now, the sense of security, because in order to gain these followers, you have to be willing to be very open with where you are, what you're doing. And, you know, me personally, I like the sense of privacy. I don't like the idea of strangers knowing what I'm up to, knowing what I'm doing. But a lot of people don't really seem to care about that. They really don't. They're like, oh, I don't care who's watching, who's following. Is that something else that's kind of the downside of the fact that we have this fascination and attachment to social media? Or is it more of just kind of like, well, some people are more sheltered than others kind of thing?
One thing that's happened a lot since the film has come out is that people have been DMing me saying, you should be careful because your address is very readable on camera. And I'm like, why are you even looking at that? Thankfully, I've moved. But, you know, if I was somebody that people took an interest into where I was in the current moment, then I would consider like posting things later after I had left, rather than tagging the location in the moment and then being worried about people showing up. I think people just really think that because you're open on social media that they have a right to like be within your privacy and your normal everyday lives, or I don't know. And then there's a part of me that's like, well, you're putting yourself out there and that's part of your job, but you know, you should feel safe. And I don't know. I don't think I answered the question, but people are weird out there.
There's a lot of weird people out there. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I wrote a story for the New York Times years ago about Alex from Target. Do you remember him? He was the kid.
Yeah.
He was the kid who worked at Target, who was very handsome, and he was 17. And some girls had posted a picture of him saying he was cute, and it went viral. And he literally left work that afternoon and had 150,000 followers. Ended up on the Ellen Show, 3 million followers, and so on. And what was really interesting talking to him and writing the story about him was that he didn't choose to try to seek that fame. It just happened to him just by working at Target. And by the end of it, a few days in, he was getting, messages online from people who were like, "You don't deserve to be famous. I do. You don't deserve this." And lots of anger towards him. His parents' emails were hacked, their social security numbers were put online. And I think that there's this side to fame on social media where there's no holds bar, and everyone thinks that they have the right to it and you don't. And I think that it's another aspect of the downside of this whole thing.
Yeah, it really makes you think, because I mean, it's no secret that celebrities have to deal with the hassling of photographers and the invasion of privacy. So watching this film, when you're seeing how many people like they almost want that, it makes you kind of wonder, like, well, why? You see that you can't control it, that it's out of your control. It really makes you wonder, like, why would you want to do this? But the film, honestly, like, I almost wish it was scripted so that way we can see a second season, because I enjoyed watching it so much. I was just like, I want to see like who else can be fooled into thinking that like, oh, she's one of us and he's one of us, and it's like, no, we're turning the tables on you guys. But really, it was an amazing social experiment. I enjoyed watching it. I know a lot of people did. All the comments were great. It was really incredible, guys. And Dominique, I am sure that your following is going to grow a lot more, because the more people watching it, the more people are going to want to know about you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having us.
So much.